Thanks, Quentin. Welcome, everyone. Hey, wow, I'll keep it brief. I'm just grateful for everyone here. We have representation from all over the country, from Youth Poet Laureate program leadership to actual Youth Poet Laureates from different cities and regions. So just grateful to see a lot of folks in the house. I think I see Dumore, Baltimore. I see Southern Maryland. I see Alameda County. I see a lot Jacksonville. I see a lot of folks in the house. So it's great to see the family here. So this California Youth Poet Laureate series is really rooted in this idea that we can move towards having statewide Youth Poet Laureate titles. The state of California is the first state that actually enacted into legislation a Youth Poet Laureate title. It'll be named hopefully sometime in late 2022. So you'll learn more about that. And in a way to kind of celebrate kind of the regional poets that come from our different regions and states across the country, we're sort of launching this model where right now, for the sake of California, we're celebrating incredible California poets. So every month there's going to be poets from that reside in or from California State, and they're going to do these sort of readings / talkbacks / workshops. There's no real parameters on this. We're just going to have fun with two incredible poets, which I'm honored to introduce. They're actually both from San Francisco. They're two of my favorite poets. They are actually, it's beautiful to hear their work because you'll see that their work is different, but you hear that same music in their work. So it makes sense that they're both from the Bay, both from San Francisco. And I'm going to read a short bio and then leave it over to them. So F. Douglas Brown is the author of two poetry collections, Icon from Writ Large Press and 0 to 3 from University of Georgia, which was the winner of the 2013 Cave Canem Poetry Prize that was selected by US Poet Laureate at the time, Tracy K. Smith. He also co-authored with poet Geffrey Davis, Begotten, a chapbook of poetry as part of the Floodgate Poetry Series. Brown's an educator for over 20 years and teaches at Loyola High School in Los Angeles, where he teaches English and African-American poetry. He's both a Cave Canem and Kundiman Fellow and was selected by Poets and Writers as one of their 10 notable debut poets in 2014. I think I was in the 2008 issue, shows you how old I am for debut poets. It's been a while. And also joining Doug is Tongo Eisen-Martin. He's the San Francisco Poet Laureate, has his MA at Columbia University. He's the author of Someone's Dead Already, which was nominated for California Book Award, and Heaven is All Goodbyes from City Lights, which received the 2018 American Book Award, 2018 California Book Award, and was named the 2018 National California Bookseller Association Poetry Book of the Year. And the book was also shortlisted for the 2018 Griffin International Poetry Prize. So you got two powerhouse poets here from the Bay, San Francisco. Give it up for them, clap, send little emojis, whatever you do on the Zoom. Thank you all, and I'm going to pass it over to Douglas and Tongo.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I think you are the first round. You, Jericho Brown, you're the first round. You started that whole, that whole poets and writers, emerging poets game. So thank you. It's great to be here. Those of you who know Tongo know he's like could touch the moon on his tiptoes, but I like to say he's my little brother. And Michael was the first one to put Tongo's name in my mouth and in my head. And I think by the time Tongo and I first met, when we finally met, it was like this is fam from way back. And so when you'll hear us, we're just gonna be us. We'll just be us and figure it out. Tongo's a mathematician in a lot of ways as a poet laureate, and we'll be deciphering everything he has to say. Tongo, you want to start? You want me to start? How you want to do this, bro?
I can start this off.
Okay.
Societies wander together like hopeful drops of a virus. Citizen testaments bent on offering me a nation of breadwinners to hold me back. Like it's a Brinks, I wrinkle the concrete sometimes like flesh. My Martin Luther King permanence turned away from a podium into the reeds like God is the dangerous twin. Black August to the mountaintop balcony on my bedroom floor. You know, they steal you from the earth itself and suspend you in your broken neck from their foolish euphoria. From the loyalty oath of their gray superstitions, loyalty oath of their agrarian reform, I return to my mother completely disrespected. For peeling the heat off of purgatory, they kill poets like me. Walk me away from my poems, never to be heard from again. In this final industrial complex of bloodlines picked over, picked through a sport and spiritual death of your devil, at least half made police become a pretty word. I'm reading a lynch mob shoestrings like they were tea leaves, teaching you how to write about cities. It's the 25th century in the mirror, people. Tyranny against your chump turns your chump to be mocked even with a gun in your car. A cubit of needlework spelled tomb for the proletariat. The relapse ministry. Talented people curled up in a fetal position next to a diamond dime, just another service day in the theatrics of tea house fascism. In a bouquet of surveillance cameras in the poverty of God. New blue eyes, corpses of water, newly potted presidency of one big shiny coin, if you ask animated capitalism, another non-literal voice killing his white freedom. The deification of hyphens, medicine bread and picture shows, great protesters in LA, guests of our ink, drop kicking roses in the graveyard, DC mink like a stone torn in half, the pen advances despite CIA guideposts, despite non-African past and futures, a metaphorical but not surreal day in the horn-ridden life, horn player improvising king. Like a radio prize fight featuring Shango himself, a real hand sweeps the land of racism. May I return to the ground. May I make progress with the gun. Our mother Emmanuel, they put on music that evening, a swinging type body language for you to drink with fermented $5 bills for your body language, some applause, my past stomach lining, neither a good thing nor a bad thing, like being psychic on the way to a lethal injection. It'll sit you down with Lady Day. Lady Day leading youth who surrendered their souls to Africa too soon. Polity thought floating in the cup of water, she saved me, accessing my stomach, accessing the love of the American lynch, coast leaves wood and avalanche into the wrist, our mother Emmanuel, avalanche into the shark keys, pain, the deal you make with pain. Piano makes sense for them, laying hands on the world gradually, addressing the bending necks on the streets of the north, traveling, sailing in pain, repeating pain in the north, 10 trigger fingers on that piano if harmony would have me, putting 100 fights on every direction off in the Lady Day, leaning on trees again, recruiting the countryside itself, saying, they plan out on this lightning. Make your poems the corner pocket of men. I've greeted the blues itself. America may clean my dead body, but will never include me. Hey, there goes the poet, killing without killing. Never mind this painting of your language. May I be a meaningful lynching. A crow's passing, good and dead by the afternoon. You know, all street life to a certain extent starts fear. Sometimes with a spiritual memory even. Pre-dawn soul clap, your father dying even. Maybe I pushed the city too far. My sensitivities in landfill districting and minstrel whistles, white supremacists, graffiti on westbound rail guards all over come and reauthored. Reauthored by revolutionary violence that chose its own protagonists, a muted stage of genius, the garbage is growing voices. Condensed Marxism. For warrior depressors, underpasses in their pockets because they just might be deities, a decent bid on the panther name of merciful Marxism. This squad at home life, a metaphor for relaxing next to a person who is relaxing next to a gun. I stare at my father for a few seconds, then return to my upbringing, return to the souls of Ohio, black folk, revolution, damn near pagan at this point. You know what the clown wants, the respect of the ant, wants to interpret pain only, wants to pull a 38 out of a begging bowl, wants me to hurt my hand on this pen. I'm not tired of these rooms, just tired of the world to give them a relativity. My only change of clothes prosecuted. The government finally learned how to write poems, shootouts that briefly in line. That make up a parable. A parable is like white bodies are paid well. Do white men even have leaders? Are all white people white men? A rat pictures a river. It can almost taste the racial divide. Can almost roll a family member's head into a city hall legislative chamber. Knows who in this good book will fly. All I do is practice, Lord. Decided not to talk out of anger ever again. Met my wife at the same time I met new audience members for our pain. We passed each other cigarettes and watched cops win. A city gone uniquely linear. Harlem of the West, do a true universe. I'll always remember you in fancy clothes, my wife said. So here I sit, twisting in silk ideation. Rifle made of postbellum tar. Targets made of an honest language. This San Francisco poetry is how God knows that it's me whining. riding among the lesser respected wolves, lesser observed militarization, Dixie-less prison bookkeeping. I mean, the California Great Coast are coming. Lynch mob gossip and bourgeois debt collection. I mean, it's tempting to change professors mid-poem. In a Chicago briefing, a white sergeant saying blank slate for all of us after this black organizer is dead. Standard academics toasting $2 wine at the tank parade. Bay of nothing, Lord, just nuclear cobblestones, gun line athleticism, and the last of the inherited asthma. Children giving white dolls to play with in fear. Facial expressions borrowed from rich people's shoestrings. I can hear hate and teach hate and call tools by people names and name people dead to themselves. No one get naturalized except federal agents soon, carving the equator in the throat soon. I mean, I'm sorry to make you relive all this, Lord. All this pre-non-monarchy friends putting up politician posters and snorting the remainder of the pace, minstrel script shuffling to the walls by the elders, my children sharpening quarters on the city's edge. For these audiences, I project myself into a ghost-like state. For these gangsters, I do the same every now and then, take a nervous look east, sleep becomes Christ, sleep starts growing a racial identity. Do you ever spiral, Lord? Has the gang age betrayed us? Be patient with my poems, Lord. So much pain is the point to crown me, and it has to be if race traders come with it. Lord, is that my revolver in your hand? No, better presence than these of yonder cages have called us holy slaves, filled the school libraries with cop documentaries, baby. I don't have money for food. Why, I have no present moment at all. I go to the railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt-toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot. Negative all over the United States, there are Tylers in the rock. I mean, I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket and why blood agreements mean a lot and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history or take the glass freeway. White skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewage near where I collapsed into a rat-infested manhood. My new existence is living graffiti in the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up. House of God in part, no cops in part. My body brings down to Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from the old bullets. Pray over the 28th hour's next beauty mark. Extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration. The waistband before the next protest post. Hey, by the way, time is not in the losing, Your Honor. I will save your death for last. You're a witty, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. And it's only raining one thing. Non-white cops and prison guard shadows reminded me of spoiled milk floating on an oil spill in a neighborhood making a lot of fuss over its demise. A new Lake Fork Black Panther Party. Malcolm X's ballroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder. The figment of village. A new noose to a new white preacher. All in an abstract painting of a president bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tantric screeches of military boss and election Tuesday cars. A cold-blooded study of leg irons. Proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses. That sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque peace plastic and bold action audiences. The Maker of a Second is definitely my favorite love sign. Final news clippings and primitive Methodists. My arm changes imperialisms. Simple policing versus structural frenzies. Elementary school script versus even wider white spectrums. Artless bleeding and the challenge of watching civilians think. And terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads in the arrows myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of war. What with their t-shirt poems and their t-shirt guilt, me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus, I have no choice but to read the city walls. For signs of my life, I talk facing away from the dead. They replaced me with the change in my pocket. A penny that's yet to be invented. They say you have to know how to cut a throat on the way to cut a throat. After sleeping on a mattress made from 2 garbage bags of clothes, I became content with the small gestures of plantation fires. I mean, playing with couch ashes, I realized how weird the universe was. It exists in so many places, so many random things that interrupt me while I'm trying to dream. Like your clay correspondence, Lord. Hey, to be transparent, I have 20 books next to a bud like an old man giving advice at the beginning of a revolution. I've really done it, Lord. Explored the mumbles of my mind, explored what's naturally there, and I found no brainwashing. I found Africa, Lord. I have a future. You know, it takes place in the diasporic South. I have morning possessions. Modern militancy. I mean, went up to the South, I'll walk on a missile for food. I guess you will not want flowers for a few years, Lord. Will I be tied face to face with the country I murder merged with us, Lord? An old metal versus new metal. An old metal versus pool of meandering imperialist faces of multiculturalism of sorts. The dead replaced me with a comedian's chest cavity. Instead of a chest cavity held tight. I mean, it takes a violent middleman for me to talk to myself. Stories that travel through other people's stories, a song about a song, a hemisphere about a hemisphere, stories that travel through a conquered poet. And my mother remembers Africa, Lord. She killed on behalf of you, Lord. I wore a machete all winter and no one asked me what it meant. I read 1,000 books in front of the world. What I do is fight poems and sleep through decadent San Francisco prayer circles and watch people play for post-working class associative surfaces or recreations of a governor's desk, ruling class art of utility plan, find a sociopathic bureaucrat. Today, some white people scared even easier. TV in a basket next to a ceramic baby wearing ceramic armor, musket progeny, fantasizing through the art of the poor. Cheney latches locked before God, black art hunted down like a dog. And hand over my friends, Lord. Lord, I think I'm gonna die in the war. Unelected white people in my small house like a blue song with no spiritual effect. Or a dollhouse H-bomb, or a pony show near dead bodies, apartheid weddings that go right, apartheid white people who give birth to mathematicians, the spiritual continuity of barracks and police stations, the chemical interpretation of a Sunday trip to church, church smells in their pockets, a river mistaken for a talking river. No autobiography outside of small personal victories of violence and drug use, made in the image of God trinkers, of white abolitionists confided in their children about chemical assurances that they will switch from black artists to white artists, from black God to white God, from black worker to white worker. I think about you cautiously, Lord. The same way I think about my childhood, Lord. Foxhole Friday nights, most of life is mute. Comedian points out a planter's field to a priest. King Sugar Cane, King Cotton, King Revolutionary, the Bile Essential, containing all modes of shallow introduction, introducing an unlisted planet class, speaking about fevers and balance sheets and reassuring the masses that we can figure out our fathers later. A priest took my mother lightly, Lord. Stood in front of parishioners, re-raveling fantasies about black art, man. Priest reading confidently before I broke him and broke his parallel. You know, after the day, I've never been a poet before. A little brother watches his big brother's friends. They leave rifles on sheltered walls. They agree with me and call it literature. It's a simple matter, this revolution thing. To really lie to no one. To keep nothing godlike. To write a poem for God. I'll leave it there.
Man, come on now, give up some love there. Show your love in the chat for that. Let that settle. Man, yeah, catch your breath there, brother. Wow. Beautiful. Fire. Yes. Wow. I love that. Yes, Lynn Thompson. Be patient with my poems, Lord, right? All right, while we let this settle, drop your stuff in the chat. The teacher that I am, I gotta have a slide deck with this poem. I knew Tongo was gonna bring some fire here, and I knew we'd read some long poems. So I'm gonna share my screen here. Y'all give me thumbs up if you can see that. Excellent. I'm gonna try to remember to click through this. So in addition to being a poet and a teacher, I'm also a DJ, or I like to say I'm a selector. And you know, lately I've been going back to a lot of the music, or I don't know if I'll go back. I kind of stay with the music that my parents gave me. And I've been thinking about a mixtape for my mother, and this is. I'm gonna start off with this quote here. The making of any good compilation tape is a very subtle art, many do's and don'ts. First of all, you're using someone else's poetry to express how you feel. This is a delicate thing. There are lots of rules. The DJ spins the blues, mixtapes, liner notes, and samples. 1. DJ Nobody Came to My Party, AKA Jam Kinnison, AKA Gomez by Night, spins Slow Burn and Long Pull, spins the lungs to fine-tune ears, then samples There Are Rules. Remember your fluke finding. That's someone who had all the good you memorized or jotted down while bored in high school or graffitied on a bathroom ceiling. God in a sewer, in a shithole dive, hidden rules as melody to soothe malady, as lyric tethered to that same someone also awake in an alternate dead night, listening hard and memorizing God in the liner notes, the divine, the shared joke, or corny factoid you thought only you thought of in the dim light with the lit square or a candle or a lava lamp. When the tape touches the palm of that someone's heart, music in that set order, cue swell and blood, cue the nourishment within each note. 2, DJ Post No Bills, AKA DJ Frankie Pillows, spins Swell in Blood, spins Nourishment as Slow Jam for my mom. Swings every crooner's sway and grace. Every moment a melody unfolds itself with intricate or sparse. All the harmonies you cry to while driving, while alone, and yes, while in public too. Samples any jam on it, jukebox, ass, romp, and shake. All stand by me. I'll be there. Remember the time and take me with you cuts. Since art of noise, moments of love, love lines, Art LeBeau makes a mixed directional, 120 minutes of heart to heart, one at a time, lyrical do or dies, love's last ditch chance. Give it all to your mom. Back to the flesh that gave you flesh. 3, DJ House of Vibes. Why didn't I bring that beat back to the flesh that gave flesh? DJ Reminisce, DJ Egg Yolk during Can't Leave the Table Until Your Brat Year's Over Easy, DJ Scars from a Brother's Indecency, DJ Hot Hanger on My Face and Wailing, Rage Consuming Gall and Nuisance, DJ Commotion, Son of Mother Up Rock Uproar, DJ Fear Cork Tight in the Dank Cellar called But Mom, DJ Epic of Stubborn and Growing Old. Why didn't I bring that beat back when she was the one not eating or screaming at the nurse? What did I fail to put on her? Why did I pledge faith to a playlist of short fuses? DJ Mama of your lingering and refusals, DJ Sworn Alliance, DJ Proven Bloodworth. DJ Mo Zone, AKA Soldier's Sister, AKA Where's She At, spins the blood's worth of sworn proof when her longest relationship ends in the dim January light, she kisses mom's forehead, sweep away any loose strands of black or gray hair so mom's exit eloquent. Cue quiet brown haze, loop dim light, and here come the requests. Hold her hand. Yes, she's looking between small and slight coughs, which you fully ingest. Take all her last breaths, hers into yours, hers into yours, hers into that damn dim room, DJ Soldier's Sister, AKA DJ Fade and Volume, taps the tests the mic as you bend down. Mom, it's okay, you can go. Mom, it's okay, you can go, we'll be fine. DJ Noons, AKA DJ Michon Mish, AKA DJ Portu Galaxy announces, Mom will be fine. He's a friend. And Noons drops Kid A as an excuse, as I excuse myself to a toilet. DJ Bubble Guts, DJ Cut and Run Away from Awkward Meetings. Kid A defends friendship in front of a mother's apprehension. Kid A's divinity defines the seamless, one foot stomps earth, the other in mystic, in sound realm. Kid A in New York City in the 90s and on repeat. Noons remixes nostalgia, small talk to counter my embarrassment, everything in its right place as I become her mother's brief bestie, and she a mixtape entitled Surrogate Mom Compilation, or Eyes Everywhere, the club mix. Tracks riff familiar conversations or conversions. Kid A vibes the blank beginning where you, the maker, asked to give, so to hear a mother's boundless chords. DJ Malenhamplo, AKA DJ Chata Chata Slow Dance, amps a boundless question. What room does Kid A occupy in your soul's house? And this one glows like the last dragon, or just the crush on vanity. When Malin Hamplo inquires, this one sings back to his own mother, Olga. This one casts a gaze out to the ocean, spins and scratches Olga's antics and silhouette wrapped around a parent, golden orange, and we back in the brilliance of films, vivid on the actor children from The Sound of Music. Their father, his military hiding depression in gray and green, hiding his children, all that they tried to say. But when the captain walks into the soul's house, Q recognizing a missing parent, even if only an imitation of. Q Kid A. Q all the golden Malin Hamplo sings. My mom, she fed the people. Q Olga's good time glow sink to her son's retelling, his pulse, and his mom's legend. DJ Von Trapp music, aka ASAP Edelweiss, aka Cappy Cap. Cue the legend of a deceased wife and mother, now in the good time glow of a choir, the captain's darling children in their performative unison in uniform. His heart, one side wood and doorway, the other dark whistles and demands. When it finally yields, surprise reaches out as if to say, the hills are lonely, but I am yours. Believe the two colors of any song's head, gray and gold, or green and guitar. When the captain takes the lead, when the children in their heartbeats accompany, believe the remix too. Dear hearts, I'm yours, I'm yours. And yet the best of you radiates your mother's legend. DJ half Taurus, half twin, AKA DJ Shut It All Down, AKA 3D. Keeps mom's legend before her specter speaks to requests. Is a cold body allowed to suggest a final haircut? What answers have entered the chamber of your dead mother? Will pompadouring her bangs ensure nothing smears her forever makeup? Daydream or disappear? Here lies the woman who taught you everything. She waits for you to leave a falsetto or two so her lips forever mime. Son, this is how to pluck a ripe melon. Season with purpose and cook better than anyone, fam included. When mom requests, stay with her locks, their everlasting bouts, bragging on her children or always advising. DJ House of Vibes. I'm mom's bragged on kid amongst all the bragged upon. The infamous DJ Goody Good who ditches his name for an affair with a Republican. DJ proof I'm flawed, but so is she. DJ politics and hours of anger ending in beautiful cliche. We fucked for the fuck of it, hoarding Hummer-sized passions as booze and Beatles undressed beliefs tainted our vows. Beware when I blame a playlist for their pop and dig and not the deliberate gathering. Beware any foolishness I could catalog before my mother, sisters, daughters hear the albums I own, begging penitence before any burning. DJ House of Vibes. Foolishness turns mercy to begging, turns burning to shame, silence but never apology. DJ Running Man, DJ You're a Jerk Reject. When I finally spoke, my voice and its pauses, electric staccato like the buzz bugs dive toward to die. Mom, I cheated. When I told her, Mom's hard swallow caved in even over the phone. When I told her, I felt her stare down from miles away, and then away, somewhere back to a past with men whose injury she'd escaped, now echoing in her youngest, distortion and feedback. The gross screech a mic makes when a sound system overloads. What hum, what piercing hurt had I whistled into Mom's ears? What I thought was truth, distant music, and frozen looks. Even over the phone, no one wants to live without their mother's gaze. DJ Los Pescados, AKA Lux Coffee Superstars, DJ Deep House Macchiato. They know over and over and over a life without someone's gaze is best to ration a song's hypnosis. Best to cut a track at chorus before someone loses themselves in the middle of a crowd or found humping a speaker in the corner, eyes closed and alone, despite how packed the club gets when new disco shines on too many raconteurs as solo dancers. Too many upset bartenders brewing too few tips. Too many DJs' tears lacing every boy band sadness remix too. The weekend never ends. So best to spend in daylight from a cafe so all indie and shoegaze can speak change your mind without any thump or build. Besides, no one gets Hope Sandoval. No one gets Hope Sandoval. No one gets Fade Into You or Landslide or As or Adore or Hallelujah when tangled on the dance floor. DJ House of Vibes. Once my lover entangled me while Badu baptized us both with sweat, water, and funk. Spiritualized bass, a body of bass flexing her good in sync with the boxed wine we offered our row. Once my lover, all the bright a tangle of unleashed glow sticks bursting, aha, while our present company laughed or lusted, and we laser rode our favorite of all favorites toward a together future and hallelujah. Once my lover untangled me while under the influence of the Chemical Brothers, but we reunited to their swoon by the end of the show, and there's nothing else, boo, but to hold on to promises on beat. So what I prayed for when I first queried your taste in music, true in all mixtape gifts, true and what Mom said of all of our get downs. Almost done here. Bill Bacon, AKA DJ Real Rakin. Of all my get downs and mixtape magic, the time spent making vibrations, each individual song lifted damn near with tweezers, damn near with spells of spit, and all mixtape voodoo and rules, mixtape master count and EQ based perfection so my voice can be carried on someone else's poetry. Bill Bacon's Smith compilation stands tallest on my many heaps of plastic and ribbon. DJ Real Rakin, AKA DJ Fandom Master Mix, wanted me to believe in the Smiths so bad he took the F in English. Should have been enough to tell me heartbreak and thorns can make a boy groove. Ah, the Smiths, your loud and lovely desperation. Instant fave of all faves. I let you rock for years, and yet I still failed to beat match the facts. Bill's mother was gone. And later, my mother pleading, will they ever believe me? We the children of 70s naturals and souls. Train party line down, waning consciousness, waning hope. And we were 80s kids on the move as analog fought digital. So our fingertips, one hand waxed while the other galaxy. Mom barely made rent, yet managed to drape us in acid wash and starter coats. Our orange cushioned headphones blocking broke. In the 90s, we were teens feeling themselves. Our transitions would never tweak at the break. We shook it all, baby. Look there. The future belonged to Prince, to Luther and Jodeci and Belle Biv DeVoe. Fresh on a box in the park. Mom, healthy, with slang bright overalls. Golden Gate on a Sunday. Look there, Mom, from the 2000s. A photo of your whole family underneath the best sun. No one could tell us that your love would ever die. Thank you. Got to click through all of this.
Thanks, Doug and Tongo. That was amazing. I love the long poems. I love the musicality of both of them. I say we get right into like a Q&A talk back type of situation, because I'm sure folks have questions, want to know a little bit about what drives your work, what inspires you. I could kick it off with a question. I would like to know, if you were to pick a soundtrack to your poetry, what would it be?
Oh man.
For both of you.
I'm gonna take the answer I learned from poet Doug Kearney a couple years ago. And Doug said that every book he writes has a soundtrack. Like one book was old school hip hop, one book was funk music, another book was like a libretto. And I think like in a similar way, that's me. Like for this, as you can hear, I kind of combined all like my musical tastes and the things that I loved, and I really tried to make a mixtape, and I actually did make a mixtape for my mother. And so I think for previous books though, like my last book was really influenced by funk music, like really trying to hear the rhythm and the cadence of funk, and like the playoff of words and funk, and also kind of like that 70s kind of the feeling that of funk was really trying to recover from like the trauma of how it all went down in the civil rights movement, and really trying to find our folks. And you see funk music is really being so quintessentially Black and beautiful, but at the same time, like underneath it, it's got like this strong like protest music to it, and these rhythms to it that really kind of get your body moving and get you out of funk, so to speak. And so like that was really helpful for me, and I think that opened me up to write what I'm writing now, which is a lot about my mother and her passing, and again kind of just looking back a lot of the music that both my parents gave me. What about you, Tongo?
Through the lens of kind of recent event, I probably I'd have to put a whole lot of Coltrane under those poems. I've been really, I don't know how I got lost. I got lost in Coltrane, and I can't get out. I don't know where to go. There's nowhere to go. You know what I mean? So I'm a Coltrane hostage right now, and I just have to wait it out. You know.
No, I'm right there with you. I don't know if we could ever wait that one out, right? I think it goes back. Yeah, you know that that Coltrane song, the Chim Chim Cheree, right? There's like an album where it's the same song like three times, but each playing of it is different. And it's so like amazing how he tweaks that. And I think it says so much, or it told me so much about like how to approach something and how to write and what you can remix and how and that love for the audience, right? Like so much of what we do, we play off each other and in terms of like the audience and the poet and the writer. Like I really like play off that audience in the moment and even when I'm writing in the whole process of it.
Man, time out. Sorry. I hate to break the fourth wall. Did I just see is there Slangston Hughes in here?
Yes.
From Baltimore?
Yes, sir.
Man, what's up? I'm sorry. What's
You
up,
gotta
my brother?
unmute.
Man, I haven't. I got to rock with him. That's a genius, and I always wish I was able to relate to him this little anecdote, man. On fluke. I'm so sorry for bringing the scheduled program. I thought I didn't know when I was gonna ever see him again. I got to kick it with Umar Ben Hassan of The Last Poets. And actually was just really just sitting in his living room, just chopping it up, man. And he brought up Slangston, man, and said he said you would have been in The Last Poets if you if you decided to be born earlier, man. So yeah, he loves your stuff, man. But anyway, man, how you doing, brother?
Blessings, man, blessings.
You better find a time machine and go back in time to make that happen.
Yeah, man, for real.
That's what's up. Any other any folks want to jump in with questions or put them in the chat? I think everyone's probably muted for the sake of the event, but if you put your questions in the chat, we will attend to them. I think someone was asking about the animations. Doug, can you tell us a little bit about the animations?
Yeah, I think with this like Zoom world, man, I think I was trying to figure out a way to and for this book that I'm finishing up, I have so many long poems, right? I'm like, man, I'm not really out trying to entertain anybody, but I definitely don't want to bore anybody or lose them here. And so, as a teacher, I try to get some images that are moving and good old Giphy.com or figured out how to put them in there. And there was an artist who I felt like the sentiment of the poems kind of matched with those images that were moving, and it wasn't going to be too literal or too distracting either on both ends. Did they work? I forgot to flip through them in a minute, and I was like, oh, I better catch up. So, so the poem is a sonic crown. So like every couple poems, I'm supposed to like advance the slides. One day I'm gonna get it right.
How many sonnets in that crown?
So nice. Oh, sorry, Michael. I was just gonna comment.
Go ahead.
It was just really beautiful, both of the poems with Mr. Douglas. There was one line you had, all the harmonies you cry to while driving, while alone, and yes, in public too. It just it was very moving, the imagery, and the mixtapes to the mother, the different walks of life. And then for Mr. Tongo, it was just, you were going so fast, but everything just hit the juxtaposition of black and white, of life, of death, like a rant to God, like a confession to God. Like both of them were so intense and beautiful. And just thank you for sharing such amazing work. I just wanted to give you some props for that. That was great.
Thank you.
Much love. Appreciate you.
Definitely.
I
see some, the motivation. Tongo, I would love for you to tell everybody about, in terms of motivation, how much you would get your students to write. What was it like? how many lines, like the 100 lines a day or something like that?
2 hours, 2 hours. put the clock on. Yeah, put the clock on right for 2 hours. Well, it's and you know, pardon me, y'all, I'm a little under the weather, but it actually it's a secondhand conversation. I like my brother was talking to this, you know, this real beautiful writer, and he was telling him about like Poetry Month, and it to which this cat was like, what, like a poem a day? Nah, you need to be writing for hours a day. Now this cat is a fiction writer. For them, you know, they just lose it. They can, you know, they can spend 6, 8, 10 hours just in the world that they're creating. You know, but I figured I could take a, you know, I couldn't make it 4 or 5, but maybe I could pull off 2. And what I found was I just made these kind of like real leaps and bounds, just because when you write for a long period of time, it becomes impossible to dance with inspiration and euphoria and vibes, you know, because at a certain point, it like, you know, when you know, because without, you know, our discipline, you know, I mean, unless you're, you know, kind of romancing yourself as you write, setting up a situation for yourself, at a certain point, you're just faced with almost the silence of the universe, right? Or you're faced with a silent universe that you have to animate, right? And so learning how to navigate description, learning how to you know, how to just navigate your ideas without energy, while sitting or with almost with an antithetical energy, sitting there like, you know, like, I'm bored, this is ridiculous, what am I doing, this, you know what I mean? To learn how to excavate ideas from that emotional position actually led me to a great lucidity of craft, and really was able to then, like, you know, almost the craft itself can become a lot more self-aware. Whereas before, you kind of, you're good at it, you make moves, they work, whatever, you tell yourself certain things, whatever the self-talk is, it all ends up as something. But there is this kind of just like really beautiful singular science that only belongs to you and just how your mind works. And there actually are, like, you know, there's insights into the craft that actually move it forward, that help you evolve, but just help you to do more with the location you find yourself in. You know, that's something that Coltrane said. He said when he was soloing, he rarely saw the entirety of the song. He was just making moves within this location where he is. And so just the kind of the sophistication of those lenses and those tools come from being able to write board. And further, just to adjust, adjust to all of your different moods, and to learn how to give each of your moods a paintbrush. You actually you actually find more voices, you find more styles, and you even find more subjects, or and you definitely find new ways of going about the same subject, which is fine too. You know, stay there, just find something new there. And so, you know, it really is that's what I, because like, so the trick is to learn how to write regardless.
Yeah.
Motivated, inspired, boom, like, and it's beautiful, though. It's useful because when you really settle down into yourself, you're actually changing all of the time. Like, even in the course of me talking right now, I've probably felt 4 different ways. So it might look like one assertion, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So to learn how to operate with the way that your mind flips around and you can't help it, like, it becomes just it just becomes a rich experiment.
Yeah. No, I
You
love
know,
that. I love that. You said in your poem, you said this, explore the mumbles of my mind. And I think that idea of being motivated just to write when you're bored is important to get that, to sort those things out, right? And I'm gonna tell you right now, like that poem I just read, I didn't want to write it. I didn't want to write, there's probably like 40 other poems that are in this manuscript that are some are long poems. I didn't want to write those poems, because all of them are so tied to my mother that I knew if I were to sit down and to do that, I was just afraid to go to the place where I knew I needed to go for either the healing or to deal with the grief face to face, because I knew what was going to happen at the end of it. And so I didn't want to do it. And I kind of blocked that motivation. And that was kind of the thing, that was it. Right. So am I going to be, like what you said, Tongo, faced with trying to navigate this silent universe of these feelings, to deal with it by myself and never to deal with it? Or could I write to something for the sake of, and maybe it might be tethered to somebody out there and out there in the ether who might need that more than me, right? I was saying to myself that I already have a lifeline that's going to help me through this, but really neglecting my role or my responsibility as a writer. And for me, is really to be in conversation with the world, and to speak for those who can't find those things. Like, I grew up in Hunters Point in San Francisco, and I love where I grew up, but I know I grew up and I come from the dirt, and I love that dirt so much. And a lot of people didn't get out of that, and it's my responsibility to hold them up. And so then I'm going to silence myself. I would willingly silence myself. That's not even fair. That's not fair to them. And that's a lot to put on any writer, but that's what I put on myself. I think in terms of like motivation, in terms of what gets me up, and in terms of like trying to honor the folks who also had honorable voices and never got a chance to do this and be on a Zoom with like 30, 40 people like this. And I love that. And I love like the duty that we have as writers. So I hope that answers Sydney, your question here. Thanks for that, Sydney.
There was a question as to if you wrote as teenagers.
Mhm.
Actually,
Yeah.
I could actually answer that for Tongo, because a little story here that I'm going to share briefly is in 1999, I was at the Oakland Poetry Slam finals, and this real tall young high school kid was in that slam as well. And he made the slam team, but he was too young, I think, to even go to the National Poetry Slam. But I didn't make this team, and he was just like, "Oh, don't worry." He's giving me like advice, like, "Yo, don't worry about them. Those judges are back. They don't know what they're talking about. That other dude over there is just yelling and screaming. That's not poetry." So that was just an aside. That's how far we go back.
I love that.
That's real.
Um,
Hey, I
go
had
ahead.
the raps too, man. I had the raps even all the way in middle school, man. I had my rhymes, you know what I mean? Even elementary school too. I think, yeah. Always with the words. The groovy news though is that, like, man, you get kind of like multiple incarnations as a writer, almost as a sign of just like of your personal evolution, and as well, like, what history is doing too, like, you keep resynthesizing yourself. That's like almost my favorite aspect of this, thinking about craft as a life's work,
Mhm.
That's just like, okay, well, now what new planet am I gonna wander on to,
Yeah, for me as a teen, I think my whole life I really I wanted to be an architect. And then my senior year in high school, it flipped up. Like I had a teacher, he showed us a poem, a Quincy Troop. And Quincy Troop wrote this poem about Magic Johnson. This amazing poem about Magic Johnson. And I was like, and there was this video, it was Bill Moyer's special, and Quincy Troop, he was giving readings like in bars. He was going into the prisons to lead writing workshops. And then he was going to schools to talk and read poetry. And then he read this poem about Magic Johnson. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do right there. All of those things, help my community, have fun with these words, and then also talk about like things. Who knew you could write a poem about Magic Johnson? Like I never knew that. Like, and when Quincy wrote that poem, man, I love that. I love that. The last book I published, Quincy published some poems of mine too from that book. I was like, man, I'm done. I don't gotta publish anything ever again. The dude who got me started just published some of my poems. I'm done. So, and that's it. Lynn dropped something about the Watts writing workshop. That's Quincy Troop, Wanda Coleman, Kamal Daoud, yeah, all of the folks. So that's the influences and inspirations there too.
Hey, Sorelli had bars though.
Man,
Sorelli had bars, man. I stand by my pep talk, you know what I mean? Man, bars, these cats was just over there, it was like, no disrespect to the live wires, you know what I mean? But, I was just like, nah, but they not of the, they don't have the affliction, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Really stuck with these words, Oh, man.
And your brother too was as a young poet, was famous. He was the most famous teen poet. He started the whole youth poetry movement, putting it on the map.
For real.
You were more like just behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden you showed up at the slam like, oh yeah, he's got bars too, I guess. It's in the family.
Man, I was the judge. I was a judge for Youth Speaks when Biko first won, man.
I remember.
The fix was in already. The fix was in already.
That's crazy. I was there. I didn't even know you, Doug. That's crazy.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
James and I went to grad school together. That's crazy.
So there's another question there. Maybe this might be a good one to kind of wrap it on, since we all are with youth poetry groups. Who are your biggest inspirations and influences for writing?
Man, you and Tongo, amongst others. Yes, Lynn dropped in there Jane Cortez. I love Jane Cortez. She, tell it like it is. I mentioned Quincy Troop. I love obviously my man Terence Hayes. I think today, I read this American sonnet that's really, started by Wanda Coleman, but Terence is kind of the holder of all things American sonnets these days. And he could juggle, he could do it all. And I think when I look for influence, or I'm trying to find somebody who's gonna push me too, and push me out of my lane so I can expand. So, when I first heard Tongo and read those Tongo's words, I was like, what is going on? What am I doing? We throw all these poems away and start over from Jump Street here. This guy right here. And a mutual friend that all of us have is Mahogany Brown, who's kind of jumped over into this fiction world. But as a poet, Mahogany, I think in terms of what this work is really out to do for you in your life, and to tell you about you, and to make you look square in the mirror, nobody does it like Mahogany. And I think Michael and Tongo would agree with that one. And so many people in the chat, from Lynn Thompson to my former students here, Harriet. I'm inspired by so many folks all the time.
about you, Tongo?
I would have to, I would just add, R.G. Lord to that, June Jordan, Etheridge Knight, Roque Dalton, Patricia Smith. Man, there's too many.
Yeah, it's really, yeah.
Too many. So it's give to like, even the thought, oh, man, Langston Hughes as well, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's to me, it's everywhere. But also, I think like I benefited from looking at other artists of different discipline and looking at them with a kind of like a critical eye, or critical ear, trying to think, what makes them tick, what strategies, might be relative, like what rules of physics over there might, work over here. And so all of the, again, go back to Coltrane, Nina Simone. Nobody would be with me, but I think Les Twins, the dancers, is I think they the best thing in modern art. Watch those brothers, man. See, watch what they really doing. I mean, I think I've learned a lot just watching them. But the instruction is everywhere.
Yeah. The dance thing I love too, because in terms of like you were talking about the craft of your own work, like the space that the dancer uses, as a poet, I get envious of, right? And how they move throughout that space, and how can I use that on the page, on this blank page, and make that kind of come alive too. And I think the dancers really get to you. I did this piece recently in response to this artist, Mofat Takadiwe, amazing artist who takes the so called waste of his country that's been dumped on his country, and reshapes it, reforms it to these beautiful tapestries. I'm gonna have to drop y'all this thing in here in the chat, but I think, yeah, it's everywhere if you let it, right? If you just be aware to it and be open to it. Let me drop this in the chat.
Well, unless anyone has like a question they just need to get out right now, I think this is just a beautiful evening, and I think there was just so much to reflect on. I'm just grateful for y'all. Lynn Thompson in the chat, Alvin Ailey, PBS documentary, just having the LA Poet Laureate here as well, and just all of y'all. I know for the Youth Poet Laureate folks that are here, I've been getting a lot of questions on when the regional winners / national finalists will be announced. That'll be at the end of this month. So we're getting the judges are trickling in their scores. So yeah, we'll have our 4 national finalists end of this month, but really it's just about building this network. It's really arbitrary because everyone at this level of craft and the intersection of craft and social justice, really, which is what this program is about, is all at a high level. So I don't envy the judges. They have a tough job picking from, all these poets, 60 plus cities in the network right now. And yeah, I just want to thank you all. Next month, speaking of Mahogany Brown, it's looking like it might be Mahogany. We're trying to get a date for her in February, if not February, March. Just celebrating folks from across California. Lynn will be expecting an email from me as well. Would love to have Lynn do one of these, maybe paired up with the LA Youth Poet Laureate. Not to put you on the spot, but thank you all. I want to just thank Doug and Tongo for being a part of this. and yeah, just appreciate your work as poets and really just as people. So, and thank you all for joining us. And yeah, look out for the email for next month's convening.
Just real quick, the slide deck that I made, I also have put a prompt in there, or really just to look at the American sonnets from Wanda. I just put it in the chat for people. I think as Terence Hayes says here on the quote that I put, working within a form is like break dancing against yourself, except one of you is in a straitjacket. The one in the straitjacket always is more impressive. So if you're out there trying to win some poetry contest, try Wanda Coleman's American Sonnet there and go break dance in a straitjacket and with some language there, and we'll see how it comes up. Good luck, everyone.
That's what's up. All right, thanks, Quentin and Beyond Baroque as well. All right, y'all, have a good night. Be safe. All right, peace.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate y'all.